Etymology and historical origin of the baby name Eliseo. Eliseo is the Italian and Spanish equivalent of Elisha. Although Elisha looks and sounds a lot like Elijah, the two names are unrelated. They are born from two distinctively different prophets in the Hebrew Bible or Old Testament, in the Book of Kings. Elijah and Elisha also have different etymologies. Both names come from the Hebrew, but while Elijah means Yahweh is God, Elisha means God is salvation from the Hebrew elements El meaning God and Shah meaning to save/help. Adding further confusion to the two similar names, Elijah and Elisha were also 9th century BC. Contemporaries. Elisha was both a disciple and dutiful successor prophet of Elijah. In essence, Elisha carried on the work of Elijah. Have we adequately confused you? In other words, both were very important prophets in ancient Israel, although Elijah was the grand poobah prophet of his time while Elisha played the role of understudy. But it was God who handpicked Elisha as Elijah's successor, which places him in a pretty elitist club. After Elijah is whirled up into heaven in a chariot of fire in one of those breathtaking biblical scenes, Elisha carries on God's work throughout 2 Kings 2-13, after asking for a double portion of Elijah's spirit. You have to read it for yourself, but suffice it to say that Elisha performed many of his own marvels and miracles, with God's help, of course, such as multiplying a jar of oil into masses so that a widow could pay her debts and feed her family, resurrecting a dead child, fulfilling the appetites of 100 hungry men struck by famine with a tiny bit of bread, and curing leprosy. He also summoned 2 she-bears out of the woods to kill 42 boys who were making fun of his baldness. See for yourself in 2 Kings 2 verses 23-24. Maybe those hooligans should have just offered him Rogaine. Aside from the random killboys over bald jokes diversion, Elisha was a highly regarded prophet in a time when Israel needed to restore their faith in their one God. As such, Elisha has always been a popular name for Jews. It gained more crossover appeal after the Reformation when the Puritans began using many of the Old Testament Hebrew names on their own children. Eliseo is the form of the name used among Italians and Spaniards. It also shows up in Latin America. Personality of the boy name Eliseo. The number 11 is a master number and embodies heightened traits of the two. This personality is on a life journey to find spiritual truth. They are extremely idealistic and intuitive. 11s have a rare and exceptional spiritual energy that brings a sense of obligation to illuminate the world around them. It's a very powerful responsibility, but these people have far more potential than they know. It's important that they surrender to higher ideals. They have the capacity to see the bigger picture, and they possess the skills to inspire others spiritually. 11s have strong diplomatic skills and can become great peacemakers. Master numbers can be both a blessing and a curse, as they walk the fine line between greatness and the potential for self-destruction. Popularity of the boy name Eliseo. Eliseo has a history as a bottom dweller in the United States. In other words, this name has been used with only a tiny bit of frequency. It has shown up on the charts off and on since the late 19th century, but has never achieved any level of success in terms of usage. We have to say, though, Elisha/Eliseo's story in the Bible is one of our most favorites. Especially when the prophet curses the boys who make fun of his baldness. The name's etymology, i.e., God is salvation, must be appealing to the religiously minded. Aside from that, though, Eliseo is one of those poetic 4-syllable Latino names loaded with romance and mystery. Quick facts on Eliseo. Gender, boy. Origin, Italian. Number of syllables, 4. Ranking popularity, 940. Pronunciation, Eliseo. Simple meaning, God is salvation. Characteristics of Eliseo. Highly intuitive, uplifting, truth seeker, extremely bright, spiritual teacher, inspirational. Cultural references to the baby name Eliseo. Famous people named Eliseo. Eliseo Grané, Cuban composer. Eliseo Soriano, Filipino televangelist, Eliseo Paya N., former president of Colombia, Eliseo Sabiila, Argentine film director, Eliseo Quintanilla, El Salvadorian footballer, Eliseo Castillo, Cuban boxer, Eliseo Martin, Spanish Olympian, Eliseo Salazar, race car driver,